Hello. I forget where we were at, but I hooked up the front brake, more or less. It's roughly adjusted in. I dug up this saddle and screwed around with it until it would fit on this seat post. This is an absolutely garbage saddle. It actually came off that green bike over yonder years ago, but I just need it for purposes of sitting on for the moment. And so what else do I got? So down here I had this roughed in with a couple of extra nuts and an assortment of washers just to space out this rack brace. You can see this is a 1/4-20, which is a little undersized for a seat clamp, but that's what it's got to be because there's no more room to drill this out any further, and I'm not messing around with additional brackets and stuff. But what I did is I stopped by the Helpful Hardware folks and grabbed a couple of these spacers. So I'm going to put those in instead of the nuts and washers on the inside here. So we'll just have a washer on the outside, a nut on this side, a washer and the bolt on this side. So that way there's only two things you have to mess with to adjust the seat. And then I'm going to put the pedals on. I got the pedal sensor taped up, and I just want to not a full shakedown, but I just want to put some air in the tires and go down to the end of the driveway and back, because I've been doing this long enough. It's time to make sure it actually doesn't fall apart when somebody sits on it. Did you catch it? I caught it. That needs to be 3/8. Could have sworn it was 1/4, but I went and looked at this other build that I did, and sure enough, that's 3/8. So need more meat on them bones, because you can see it's a little whoop. That's all right. I will fix that before it goes out. But for right now, I get air in the tires, I put the pedals on, it's in 3rd gear right now, no back brake hooked up, no shifter hooked up, no battery. I'm just gonna take it for a little spin, and then I'm gonna copy my settings from that bike, which has the same motor controller combo. Well, this one's got the geared down version of the motor, but that doesn't actually make any difference for the programming. And then we'll make sure it works under power. I'm kind of procrastinating a little bit because I seem to have misplaced the whatsits that go on the bottom of the bottom bracket, but I'll find them. I have faith. And I found a whole bunch of other hardware while I was at it, so that's cool. Anyway, enough waffle. So it's been a little bit. I've been putting together the last few things that I need to finish this bike up, and So this is the pedal sensor, and the way it works is there's a little crosshair on here, and each time a magnet passes facing the right way and traveling the right way, it triggers this thing. This red LED comes on, and as it blinks on and off, that's what tells the controller that you're pedaling. And the way these are supposed to work is they have a bolt that goes through here, and that lets this pivot back and forth a little bit for setting purposes. You set the angle, tighten up the bolt, and then zip tie this backing plate onto the seat tube. So it would go like some kind of way. Or you could put it on the down tube or whatever. So the issue is with the thing set up like this, it sticks out too far. And in fact, the way this has to be mounted is this has to sit on top of the chainstay. So that's not going to work. Also, the way they assemble these is they put a heat stake in on a 1mm peg, which means as soon as you touch this thing, it falls apart. Now they do have some goop in here to help weather seal it, but it's not that great. It doesn't even hold down the wires. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack this completely with hot snot and then squish it together. Then I'm going to put a bit of mounting tape on one side, and I'm going to run a zip tie through the holes here around the chainstay, and that will mount it into place permanently, reasonably permanently. So we'll just start at one end and kind of work our way through. Hopefully if I just squish this on and hold it for a little bit, that'll stick. Even if it doesn't, having it zip tied around will hold it together, and it'll at least keep some of the water out. Incidentally, this is already connected to everything. I just gotta mount it up, and I'll show you that in a second. Sans waffle. That's how it's hooked up. Got a dab of mounting tape down there, and it's adjusted in about the right spot. I'm going to put one more zip tie on it just for personal preference, I guess. Maybe help it keep the angle a little better. But it is working. So I've got this suspended. I don't have a stand. That's a personal failing. I don't want to hear about it. But if I start cranking it, it takes off, and it stops as soon as I stop. And you can see around here, maybe, blinky lights, which indicates it's working. So our ground speed is 0, but we're doing pretty good as far as airspeed. And for the life of me, I've turned this goddamn place upside down. I cannot find the glides for the cables on the underside of the bottom bracket, so I'm going to have to figure something else out. Probably just run cable all the way down to the mounting points on the wheel, which is okay, but I really wanted to use those glides. I really have no idea. Like, I cleaned the ever-loving crap out of this place and turned the whole place over inside as well in the house. But so it goes. It's one of the issues of having a project drag out for entirely too long. However, since that's set, I'm going to adjust this rear fender. I'm going to line up the handlebars, which are not quite right, I noticed. And then I got to tidy this up and tidy up the wire. I'm going to run a spoke up the backside of this. I don't know why I'm telling you what I can do when this is what I did for the last one. I just had this has a different pedal sensor on it, which I actually preferred, but I just have a spoke wrapped in cloth tape to keep that nice and straight and unobtrusive, so that'll go from down here up to here and then just straight back into the control box, where all of the excess will be tucked as well. That's it for tonight. So I got these tied on. They look okay. I would like it to be a little more better, but I might readdress that at some point. But I got the wire here all tied back. I got it tied back over here. I got this tucked a little bit further up in here. Still got to put the retaining screws in there. And I took this for a ride around the block, and this is just not cutting it. It worked okay on the bench, but it's just too wobbly to make a solid connection. And I was thinking real hard about that, and you can see where the screw holes go on here. And I'm just going to use one of these. When it's mounted on the chainstay like that, it's going to provide a flat mounting platform. Obviously got to use some washers to get it down to the right size, and maybe a spacer in here so it doesn't break the plastic when it's tightened down. But then it'll be mounted solidly. There'll be a little bit more wiggle room as far as rotating it to get a good reading. It'll stay put. It doesn't involve adhesives. And yeah, more better. That's a better idea. I'm not sure why I didn't have that idea before. But that's going to be for another day. However, with this all straightened up, so that's all in a line, and I took it around the block, and when that pedal sensor was working, it's good. It's a comfy ride. Really benefits from having the bigger tires versus my preference of skinny roadster tires. So yeah, it's comfy. It's quiet. It's about as fast as you can go on a Huffy. Now that the steering's been banged around a little bit, I gotta tighten that down. That worked itself. I wouldn't say worked itself loose, it just worked itself to where it needs to be adjusted again, as to be expected after riding for a few blocks. Also, this camera doesn't pick it up, but it's such a pretty blue. I like it. There, that's looking real nice. So, got a clamp holding this this bolt on, and then a nut down here, so that the clamp is a separate action from this nut up top. That also spaces it out right, so it's all the right length and nothing's sticking out. It's just enough friction to hold it in place, but you can also adjust it without additional tools by giving it a harder shove. So yeah, That's a much better solution. I like that a lot better. I may still put the bracket back in just to space this out right here, because there's no spacer in here at the moment. I still can't find the thing for the bottom bracket, so I'm just gonna have to make something up and do basically home runs for the cables. So I'll use the full length of the shift cable and just go straight down the down tube and back to the shifter, and then on this side we'll do the same thing with the brake, just a housing all the way down, and we'll do it that way, which, you know, is what it is. It shifts. So this is a traditional Sturmey Archer hub. This one is from 1960. You can see it's got a hollow shaft and it's got a pull chain, so that when you hit the trigger here, it pulls the chain, and that's what causes it to shift. For purposes of having a stronger axle that's not hollow, this one has a rotary shift on it. So instead of pulling a chain at the end of a hollow shaft, when you shift, it rotates that thing. That's a little fiddly to set up, but it shifts all 3 gears. So next stop is to do the brake. This is all just roughed in. I want to make sure it all works, and then we'll take it for a test ride once it's all together. A wise man once proclaimed that he was done with all the fucking arounds. And I'm rapidly reaching that point on this bike. So, functionally complete. I took it for a test ride. It was very nice. It was not making any untoward noises. It was shifting fine. It was stopping fine on both wheels. Its braking performance is adequate. I'm a stickler for like a really stout brake, and this doesn't quite have that, but it still stops hard. It's not gonna be in any danger to anyone, but it's not gonna put you over the handlebars either. Yeah, I noticed the crank came loose as I was going crazy, but that's fine. That needed to be retorqued anyway. The steering needs to be retorqued. And then it's just a bunch of detail work, cleaning up all of these housings and cable ends and stuff, giving it a wipe down with some microfiber cloth to get the remaining grease and dust off of it, and then it's going to be ready to go. The writer of this is going to supply her own saddle, and that's going to sit a little bit lower because she is shorter of stature than I am. But that'll give it a nice relaxed frame geometry too. This is already getting toward what we would call a comfort bike, even though it was proclaiming to be a mountain bike. You can see how the top tube angles down considerably, whereas with an older mountain bike it was basically flat. So yeah, I'm gonna put you back on the cardboard box. You could sit there in timeout and watch me play with zip ties, I guess. Alright, I found a mount, so let's go to the park. We're in, first gear, first physical gear, third assistance level. Dude's going slower than I am. Must be the weed. this is nice. Except for the saddle. The saddle's garbage. But that's why I took it off the bike. It came off. So, top speed we went there was about 18. Other than using the thumb throttle once or twice. It's in third gear, which is 90 watts, which is like totally fine. That's a very light pedal assist at about 12 miles an hour. Or if you boost up to speed and just pedal steady in top gear, that's about 18 miles an hour, which is plenty fast enough for a bicycle. So yeah, I'd say this is a general success. Alright, final thoughts. This is a battle, but it rides so nice. The one thing I noticed on the test ride is the lock nut on the bottom bracket just does not have enough to grab onto, so it's starting to strip. So I'm going to figure something out with that, probably just take off the no-turn washer and do it the hard way. Also, I got back and I was like, I wonder if I have a thinner no-turn washer for that bottom bracket. And I looked through the baggie of parts that I've looked through 1.5 million times over the course of this project, including when I was trying to find those bottom bracket glides, and there they are. So I'm not going to replumb this thing, but what I am going to do is clean these up and reinstall them so that A, they can be used at a later date if that is deemed necessary, and B, they will plug up some holes in the bottom bracket to reduce water ingress. And yeah, so I'm going to figure that bottom bracket out, but that's all off camera. I'm going to put these two pieces on and ship it. I forgot one other thing. When I was putting the stem on, I wiped some grease and debris off and saw that it was date stamped 1998. So yeah, this is a 98 bike, which means it's one of the last American Huffies, because Huffy closed up shop in Ohio in mid 98 and closed up in Missouri and Mississippi, I think, in 99, and that was it for the US bikes. I can't say for sure, but I am choosing to believe that this one is an Ohio model.